Hello, good day viewers. I am Okocha P. Marcel and this is my channel. In this life, we must never learn how to remain neutral and silent, because your silence will help the oppressor to keep on oppressing the masses. But when you speak up, they see it as an attack. They see it as a caution. They see it as a warning to every bad system they are trying to create. And that is why in this channel, we talk about trending and political issues and we share news contents. So follow us, share our videos, subscribe to our channel, and always come by to watch our daily updates.
I see a number of donor agencies and development partners and international non-governmental organizations here. I acknowledge you and all distinguished members of the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room and very distinguished members of the press. It has been a journey with all of you, and I acknowledge you. As we start off this morning, we have come a long way, and we're really, really excited that finally we are going to be presenting the final report of the 2023 general elections. And this has come as a result of the hard work by each and every member of the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room, the hard work, the support that we have gotten from the development partners, and their personal, almost personal support, and also the financial support that we have gotten, and the solidarity as well. So I want to welcome you and say that today we'll be presenting our final report. It is not the end. The struggle is continuing. We have to have a talk. And it is for the first time that we are sitting with the INEC commissioner face to face after the election. Is that after the storm, storms never last forever. After the storm, we have to pick up our pieces. But I'm happy that we send an invitation and he's here with us because we have to start talking again. General election. The Situation Room's observation and analysis of the 2023 general election indicates that the election fell short of the credibility threshold set out by the Situation Room itself. Situation Room had expected that the innovative reforms introduced by INEC in furtherance of the new Electoral Act 2022 will lead to efficient and accountable election management, together with effective monitoring of the political parties' campaign process, improve access to polling units, hitch-free accreditation and voting, and effective violence mitigation. Contrary to these expectations, the 2023 general election was marred by very poor organization, severe logistical and operational failure, lack of essential electoral transparency, and substantial disruption of voting, and several incidents of violence. As a result, the process cannot be considered to have been credible. Given the lack of transparency, particularly in the result collation process, there can be no confidence in the results of the election. In addition, there was very poor communication from INEC on challenges with its processes on the election day. In the light of these shortcomings, Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room believes that additional reforms and improvements are required to ensure that the quality of future elections in Nigeria does not further decline, and that public confidence in the capacity of INEC to conduct elections is restored. Because right now, I can tell you, while trust in the credibility of elections itself needs to be reestablished, the following recommendations and improvements in the election management body and the electoral process are offered for consideration and possible implementation of election stakeholders in Nigeria, by election stakeholders in Nigeria. In terms of the legal framework, the Constitution should be amended to eliminate the position of resident electoral commissioners under the control and direction of the Commission through the appointment of state directors of elections to replace REC. The suggestion by Justice Uwe's committee for the unbundling of INEC should be considered and implemented without delay. An effective legal framework should be formulated for the establishment of the Electoral Offenses Commission and Tribunal, Political Parties Registration and Regulation Commission, and an agency to handle, constituency delimitation. Proposed amendment to the Constitution should include issues critical to the inclusiveness of the electoral process, such as endorsement of early voting for election day workers, independent candidacy, and voting by Nigerians in diaspora in conformity with international principles for democratic process. Any further amendment to election legislation should be enacted sufficiently in advance of elections to provide political parties, candidates, and voters adequate time to become informed of the new rules of the election process. In terms of election administration, as a practice, INEC should institute a process of post-election audits to enable the Commission to understand and account for the lapses during election and to undertake measures to prevent future occurrence of the lapses. With regards to the 2023 general election, INEC should conduct the following: an audit of the polling units where elections did not take place to establish the reasons for the failure, an audit to provide to the public details of the process leading to the result that it collated for the election, an audit to provide to the public information on why INEC resolved viewing portals malfunctioned despite assurances. If many of you can remember, we asked questions severally and nobody responded on why the IREF did not function, and we were assured and reassured in this house. The second is to improve election administration. The National Assembly should be more vigorous in undertaking its oversight role over INEC and the electoral process. Pre- and post-election legislative scrutiny of the implementation of the Electoral Act and other legislations by INEC should be conducted regularly. The National Assembly should be more forthright and dispassionate in performing its roles of confirming, appointees to the positions in INEC. Petitions or complaints against nominees should be thoroughly and satisfactorily considered and investigated. Noting that operational and logistic lapses have been a persistent challenges to the elections in Nigeria. Despite assurances of its readiness by INEC, the National Assembly, within its oversight role, should set up an independent readiness assurance investigation to ascertain the level of preparedness or preparations before major elections. To further address the operational and logistics lapses, INEC should make thorough planning, a key priority. And I want to state that we actually thought INEC was prepared. I think this would have been one of the best elections. But whatever happened, we have not been communicated because we were involved in the planning process, and so many NGOs and INGOs did a lot of things to make sure that we had one of the best elections. We are asking that you ensure full implementation of and strict adherence to the strategic plan, electoral project plan, and also election management systems. Also to take up other necessary measures to strengthen its procurement, logistics, and operational capacity. As an additional measure to address operational and logistic lapses, INEC should ensure a much greater compliance with election procedures at all levels and introduce measures to reduce inconsistencies in their implementation. The Commission should focus more attention on ensuring institutional cohesion and sound communication amongst its staff. INEC should address its operational challenges by improving the capacity of its staff through robust learning programs and timely training. INEC should design and implement mock elections, mock election exercises to practice procedures such as filing out result sheets and use of technological devices. the Commission should make its training manuals user-friendly to reflect the realities of the election management and be widely available to staff and stakeholders. To further improve the transparency of results management and the process, INEC should devise a more robust internal result verification mechanisms to be put in place before the official proclamation of the winners. There should be clear instructions for the collation and returning officers regarding and correction of calculation errors to eliminate the arbitrary handling of numeric inconsistencies in the result sheets. 10 is that INEC was not effective in its crisis management and communication during the 2023 general elections. In the future, the Commission should be more detailed, regular, and progressive in its crisis communication. In fact, they were almost not communicating at all. The election day workers constitute a significant number of the citizens who should be voting but do not vote due to election duty. They include ad hoc staff, INEC staff, security officials, and observers. In the future, early voting should be put in place to enable this category of Nigerians vote a few days to the election in sufficient time to travel to their places of posting. Now, on voter registration and PVC collection, the task of compiling and managing the National Register of Voters should be entrusted with the body nationally charged with population data management in the country. It is therefore proposed that the National Population Commission should be given the responsibility of extracting the National Voters Register from its population database and be further charged with updating and including the names of persons that attain the voting age. A system that will monitor and report on the integrity of the National Register of Voters created through this process will also need to be put in place. In the period, INEC has responsibility for keeping the National Register of Voters. The Commission should, 1, should improve the register by devising transparent and systematic ways of eliminating dead registrants from the voter. It should ensure that it resumes the continuous voter registration exercise well ahead of general elections or off-cycle elections. Since the voter information no longer resides in the permanent voters' cards in future elections, INEC should consider abolishing the use of PVC and introduce the use of alternative means of identification such as national identity card, international passport, or driver's license. This will reduce the cost of elections in Nigeria. In conclusion, the Situation Room will continue to play a critical role of engaging Nigeria's democratic process to achieve the needed reforms. To this end, Situation Room expects that the new regime in Nigeria will continually and earnestly respond to the challenges of the democratic development and good governance confronting the country. Situation Room wishes to express profound appreciation to the United Kingdom, the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, for its wholehearted support for the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room work, especially towards the 2023 general election and the other off-cycle elections. Our gratitude also to the team of experts who joined in doing the analysis for the election. In addition, a Situation Room is grateful to the individual experts that constituted its steering committee, the organizations, and also the various platforms, the Situation Room platforms, and several other individuals, organizations, and partners that supported the work of the Situation Room. We wish to express our thanks to all our field observers across Nigeria, all the experts, all the volunteers, the staff, and the media organizations, all the journalists who devoted their time and knowledge to the success of the Situation Room engagement of the electoral process. To the other development partners, the European Union, USAID, UNDP, NDI, IRI, the various embassies across the country. We wish to, and others too numerous to mention, we wish to, the labor movement as well, we wish to express our appreciation for the collaborative efforts and coordination of activities.
That the convener of the civil society situation has read the statement of the civil society situation. I don't have anything to add. It is a statement entirely endorsed by us. And it's a statement of the civil society situation room. We observed elections across the country. There is no doubt that everyone is disappointed with the process of the elections. It is not up to us as civil society to defend INEC. Our role as civil society is to say things as honestly and as impartially as we should. Ezema, please, I'm talking, and you cannot contradict our convener. I don't think it is appropriate. If you had nothing to say to the report, then you should just have not said anything. But please do not contradict our convener who has spoken on our behalf. If you have an alternative report, then look for a proper forum to address your reports to the public, but not on Situation Room's platform. So what you have said is completely inappropriate and unacceptable and should not be said in this forum. We do have our report from Situation Room. We have issued that report. We are glad that Festus Okoye, who has been part of the Situation Room, we called him co-convener because in reality, even though he wasn't co-convener in theory, when he was in Situation Room, he was very much a part of us, and we still continue to say that he's part of Situation Room. And we respect him tremendously as a very senior lawyer, but also as someone who has gone to INEC to represent us. Now, if INEC has a failing, we have not called out any individual in INEC. We have not called out any person to say that we are disappointed by their personal conduct. We are simply saying that the institution failed us. And if we are to move forward, it is that we take responsibility as Situation Room for even our own failings as Situation Room, but INEC also taking its own responsibility for its own failings. When that happens, then we can go forward. We cannot close our eyes to the fact that there were failings, and that if the 2027 elections, and I think it was Aja Oliver who was speaking, if the 2027 elections is to be an improvement on 2023, we must acknowledge what the failings have been. If we fail to acknowledge those failings, then I think we do have a challenge that 2027 will even be worse. So please, let's read the report for those who have not read it but are reaching conclusions. We do know that even with the security agencies, there were failings that were identified. It's acknowledged in this report. And the hope we all have is that this report and the report of other observer groups, including international organizations, and there are international organizations who have issued their own reports. We do not as Situation Room have a responsibility to speak for INEC. We collaborate with INEC, but we don't speak for INEC. And nobody in Situation Room should be speaking for INEC. That's not that responsibility of the individual.
The report. I know that a colleague asked a question about security. It's on page 29. If you see, we had a lot of recommendations also. If you go through the environment, we're very proud of all of you who went to the field. And that's why I say thank you to all of the volunteers. People volunteered. We didn't pay them. They volunteered and they were on the field. So across the country, and like Jim pointed out, people risked their lives to some of the dangerous areas. I think something that is very, very important is that, we do know that when we went, we had more than 176,000 polling units. The Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room, we are not government. Government is paid to do the job. The INEC is paid for all the polling units that they were supposed to deploy. They were paid. Security was paid. And so if you want to conduct an audit For the civil society organizations who are here present, the INGOs here present, before you get funding for anything that you do, you sweat it out. To write a presentable proposal, and so we cannot give ourselves more job. We need to demand for accountability. And that is why we say, if you said you were going to conduct, election in 176,000, over 176,000 polling units, how many did you conduct? We knew that by the general election, by midnight, so many polling units, people were still waiting on the line. So you need to be accountable. And so we need to demand accountability. Yes, the presidential upload. We all know, I think we all have gone through the time. Like I said, the storm is over. Our eyes are clear now. But we have to begin again. We have to hope. Because as civil society organizations, you are the representatives. You are closer to the people. How do you go back to explain to them? I think after the election, you yourself, you needed to deal with your own psychology, your psychic itself. Has this happened or not? We all stood together before you go and explain to anybody, those who were believing in you. So we need to work together. No, yes, I don't want to say more, but I can defend myself anywhere. You cannot accuse any one of us of being partisan. You know, the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room, we have so many members who are technically sound. They conducted, they had data. There is a lot of data everywhere on the issues that we have conducted. And they rolled it out. We had so many technical rooms during and after the elections. I think there was a flood in terms of if you are at Transcorp or all over the hotels, and we are proud of the job that everybody have done. So I say well done, a big well done to each and every one of you. When we ask INEC chairman to apologize, we say Nigerians feel the betrayal. Talk to people. You need to talk to people. That's what we're talking about. But to come here and talk about somebody being partisan, who are you accusing? We need to calm down with the things. We stand upright for Nigeria. You are in your own NGOs. How many data did you roll out? So roll it out. We have data all over. I want to commend all of you again, and I commend the Secretariat for the great job they have done. We can do better. We are still in a meeting. If we feel strong about anything, let's issue, a communique. But we have done a great job, and I did, and I can say that we have done a great job. We'll continue to stand upright for Nigeria.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Oh, the institutional elections today. Hopefully, we'll
Sorry.
I'm a candidate.
We are victims of bad political leadership. We are the victims of bad system of government. And for this reason, you must not remain silent. I must speak up and you must speak up. When you remain neutral to every bad political system, it helps the oppressor, not the victims who are the masses like me and you. And for that reason, we share news content, we talk realities out of trending and political issues on this channel. My name is Okochapi Marcel, and this is my channel. Please kindly help me to share my videos, subscribe to this channel, and always come by for new videos.